Hi there. Welcome to Life Between Coasts, the podcast where we dive into our personal journeys connected through synchronicity. So grab your coffee, light a candle, and let's begin. I'm your host, Leah, and we're glad you're here. So today is August 26th, 2026, and it is the very first episode of season number 3. So we are ecstatic that you are here listening to us today. And we have only taken a brief pause. We finished up our 52nd episode, the end of season 2, just towards the end of May there. We had a few months to be able to record, to meet some new people. Lots of interesting stories are coming our way. We have a preacher turned FBI breacher who wrote a book about it and his experience between both. We have other authors that are up and coming and have put out their first books. We have book publishers that are promoters and help people get their books out. And we have actually a gentleman that is a screenwriter that currently has his movie on Amazon. So it's amazing that the journeys of what it takes to get to certain points and how we were able to talk to each individual about the struggles that they've had, about their way of growing up, being different parts of the country, not 100% settled 100, from here, born and raised here in Michigan. So it's nice to have a different perspective. There's just so many good voices to be heard. And that is what we're so excited about, is just to continue to demonstrate our likeness, how alike we are, and get rid of those differences and those things that separate us as a society. And that leads me to, talking about all of these other people writing their book. That leads me to telling you about what we've accomplished here behind the scenes during that short break as well. So normally we have our guests, and today we do have a guest. But that guest is actually me. So instead of just being the host, I'm also going to tell you about what my accomplishment was over the summer. And that was to get my book published just the same. And so the book is called Swaying with the Trees, and it's a guided recognition experience. And you're going to ask me, what the heck does that mean, Leah? And really what it is I'm telling you what happened in my life. I'm telling you all the hard things that I had to go through. But I'm also showing you how I was able to make it to this point here and to kind of redevelop myself and to kind of, you hate to say the word transition, but I use the word becoming, so we're always becoming something. And so this book really stems and tells you about my becoming to where I am now. I was looking at, previous episodes before we started this season, and I was looking how I looked and how I was a little bit more meek and soft and quiet and small and afraid to show my shine, let's call it that. And I look at where I am right now and how I'm interacting with people and how I'm speaking with complete strangers about some of the deepest and hardest conversations that they've ever had to have in their life. And I'm what I call it, like a flower that's coming into bloom. And that's really what this book is about. It's trying to say that, life is hard. It's going to hurt. It's not always positive. But it's just how you are able to come back to yourself and soothe yourself, to keep going, no matter what, to persevere. But one of my biggest things is not doing it in such a strong manner that you create harm for yourself. We have to start becoming more aligned with what our needs are as a person. I mean, women, I'm going to tell you this right off the bat, women are notorious for setting their needs aside to take care of somebody else. This book right here, Swaying with the Trees, is the book that helps you get back to taking care of yourself. I did it. I did it for a long time. I did it up until the point that my dad died. I set myself aside for everybody else, especially my dad. I wanted to take care of him. I wanted to make sure that he had the best life possible because he had the life interrupted. He had the time that he lost my mom. He lost his son. He lost his father. He lost a lot of things. And he didn't have the ability to get over those losses. He had his losses he dealt with, as we know from our previous conversations, in different ways. And my losses I didn't want to deal with in that manner. So by swaying with the trees, and I mean that in a literal sense, when you need to ground yourself, the things that you can do is you find a tree and you just start swaying and you start matching. And it sounds crazy, but it's something that, I really, really want to start is a movement to go with this. It's the sway. It's, honestly, just if you go and you just feel your feet deep into the ground, you ground yourself and you just sway and things just melt away from you. That stress, that anxiety. And this book, like I said, as a guided recognition experience is part memoir. It's going to tell you about me, where I've come from, and the struggles that I faced as an individual. But then it's going to tell you how I dealt with that using this metaphor. And then it's going to ask you the same questions right back at you in kind of a self-help way of just saying, how do you think you're handling it? Or it's okay to let that go, or it's okay to separate yourself from somebody that might not be good for you. We talk about building your ecosystem. We talk about self-grounding, self-soothing, and there's just a couple passages that I actually wanted to read to you that just kind of demonstrate the type of writing that you'll get into. And honestly, this book is for everybody, men and women. I'm a woman, so of course I'm gonna say that it's meant for women because they're gonna feel it, they're gonna know. But it's meant for anybody, anybody that's going through a struggle, through job loss, through illness, through divorce, through separation. Just for any type of loss or transition in life. I talk about my sessions with Kanika in the book as well. And I talk about how much of that is actually imprinted throughout the words, the work that I've done with her since October of last year. The book is revealing of everything that I've worked with her for to create alignment with my mind, body, and soul. I would say that would be the best description there. But for the first little area that I want to read for you, it's a quick little paragraph here in chapter 9. And this one talks about the mechanics of resilience. And I just say, true resilience is not the absence of stress. It is the ability to remain yourself while moving through it. And yet, for most of your life, you were taught the opposite. You were taught to brace, to hold, to tighten, to prepare for impact, to keep it together at all costs, to power through what you were never meant to carry alone. Those are deeply powerful words, because we weren't meant to carry all of this alone. I learned the hard way, because being an only child, I didn't have any siblings to lean on. Losing my mom at 25, I didn't have anyone that I felt that I could turn to talk to the way that I would talk to her. I felt her love as being that the one unconditional love, that no matter what happened in my life, she was the person that I could go to. And when I lost that, I got to close down. And so those are the things that I've had to go through, that I've had to reopen up my heart for. And those are the words that end on this paper, because we don't need to go through this alone. We are an ecosystem of humans, as I always say, and we need to figure out how we can lift each other and get through and survive whatever life has for each of us. Because you think about the root system of trees, even a single solitude tree out in the middle of the field isn't alone. It's what we don't see. It's the roots. It's the underneath, right? It's the part that they have, sending signals to each other, where to find water, where to do this, how to stay strong. They shift all day long, every moment. They don't grace, but they become flexible in the wind. And so as a society, we see each other, we see each other break, we see, collapse. And we don't need to get to that point. But if we start swaying, and that's where the movement part comes in, we start swaying with the trees, then I think that we can start to ease the tension in our lives and all become just a much more aware society, be more present with each other, I'm anti-technology, even though everything that we do is on social media, and of course I'm on YouTube, and you need technology to hear me right now. So, but that is the biggest thing I think that I take from this book for myself is that if we just take a breath, we can deal with anything. We can deal with anybody. But there's so much hatred and there's so much division still that we need to start taking more breaths, and we need to start taking more pauses, and that way we can work together and be a better human society. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, because of course, we're a show about synchronicities, and we're a show about, all the crazy things the universe does for us, right? And so one of the things that I wanted to point out about the book too is the ISBN number, the 13-digit number on the back. It ends in 444, and actually there's 4 4s in this number here. So the ISBN number is the book number. This is how it's found in any registry. Make sure that you're ordering the correct book. So the ISBN number is 97982341294444. Now the 444, that's the part I want to focus on here for a second. So the 444, it's a numerology case. So you see triple digits. So people say triple threes, triple fives, triple fours. The 444 is a foundation. It's a protection number. It's a you're on the path number. And so it's really important that the ISBN number, a number that all I did was put my credit card number in to pay for. So this number was assigned to me, not a number that I would have chosen. But it ends with those triple digits. And so those 444s is probably the most cited sequence. But it's that foundation. It's the start. So when I look at that number, that 13-digit number, there is another 4 there. There's a 4 in the middle. And I look at that 4 as being this first book, right? Swaying in the trees. Or swaying with the trees. I can't even get my own title right? And so this is the first book. This is the anchor, the center. And this is where it starts. But as I was writing this, there's 3 other books that are going to come from it. And I think that 3 4s comes up as a symbol to say, yeah, there's 3 more that are coming your way. All of the digits of the ISBN number together, and when you pare it down when it comes to numerology, add up to 3. Again, looking at 3, season 3, launch of the book right here. Today is August 26th, 2026. All of those numbers add up to 26. That was not intentional. Just the August 26th part was, but figuring out that all those numbers add up. And so, many of you probably look at me and say, "Oh, Leah, that you're reading into this. You're looking at these numbers and you're saying, oh, there's numbers there. This is crazy talk. This stuff doesn't exist." But one of the things I want to tell you is about another guest that we had, Sarah, and her episode is going to air on September 30th. And what's important about her episode is, and this is true for all of my guests, and I want you guys to know this. So when we're booking our interviews, one of the things that we do is we don't tell them what we're up to, and I don't necessarily look at their background, and especially Alexis doesn't look at their background. She might know a little bit more about the person that I'm interviewing, but we definitely like it when I don't know that much information, because and I don't have any preconceived notions. But we're not necessarily booking people that have certain skills or certain backgrounds either. There's a lot of people, like I said, that were book authors. There's book publishers and other people that we interviewed, and they weren't necessarily because I was also putting out a book. And so one of our interviews with Sarah, and her episode's actually going to be out on September 30th. Is she was a literary agent. She was out in LA. We talked about some different things, and she's working with another company now, and she's helping people that self-publish how to launch their book, to do the marketing side, to really get it out there. And she has the experience and the talent. And during our conversation, so one of the things, we talked about the numerology, but here's the other synchronicity with Sarah especially, is that during our conversation, at one point she says, it's not like everybody can take their book to the Today Show. And I thought that was kind of funny, and I'm not sure if the camera picked up on it, but I probably had a grin like a Cheshire cat, grinning from ear to ear, because that's something that I've told people as I've been writing this book, is I'm going to take my book to the Today Show. And so at the end of our conversation, we wrapped up filming. We carried on our conversation. Usually it's about 10 or 15 minutes afterwards. And I disclosed to her at that time that I was writing a book and that I was going to putting out. I thought it was funny that she said it's not that everybody can take their book to the Today Show, because that's exactly where I intend to take it. And her response to me was, it's funny that I said the Today Show, because I usually say Good Morning America. And so to me, what she said, the events that occurred, that's the universe. That's the synchronicity. That's that you have to go to New York and take your book to the Today Show. So on October 1st, look for me on the Today Show Plaza during that 8:30 half hour. I'm going to have my sign that says, look at me. And I'm going to be there to deliver a copy of this book to the co-hosts, the anchors of the Today Show. And, they've all gone through it, right? So we know we've heard about these things because they're they're public figures. So we heard about Savannah Guthrie and the loss of her mother. We hear about Chanel and the loss of her husband. So there's a lot of these things, and they're in a position to be able to get messages out. And so my hope is that on October 1st, that I get this book in their hand, and that they help me start a movement. That movement of sway. Teach people how to sway, and let's offer shade to those that don't have it yet, or don't feel that they have the ability to do it, because once we've gone through this and we've been able to prove our resilience, we can offer this to other people, so they could be kind of like that protectorate. They could be the canopy that says it's okay. Let's learn to sway together, and I think that's really important. So look for me. I'm going to have my poster. I'm going to have a QR code. I'm going to point everybody back to my episode, and we're going to hope that they help me start a movement. So that's key right there. It's really exciting, nerve-wracking, but you know what? In a world or a sea of books that are published every year, I think it's like upwards of 4 million. You got to stand out one way or another. So I think that will definitely help me stand out. Just hopefully they'll give me some recognition or some acknowledgement, and then, like I said, maybe they'll actually read it. So going back to just the normal stuff, so the Anthem project is still alive and well. I keep adding songs to it as I hear, so there's some really good ones on there right now. I did add some older tunes, some Buffalo Springfield, some Beatles, a couple songs on there. But the anthem for this show for today is Teddy Swims, the song All That Really Matters. And all that really matters, if you listen to the lyrics, if you listen to the beginning, talks about wearing your scars proud. This book is those scars for me. So all I need is at this point is to have somebody that's willing to be side by side with me, and I think I know that I found that in my mister. So all that really matters is the anthem for today's episode. And just remember, you can always go to our YouTube page. You could go through the Life Between Coasts website to access the Anthem project and add your anthem to become part of something with us too. And now, of course, how to listen, through the website, lifebetweencoasts.com. You can find our feed sprout, or our buzz feed right there on the website. You can listen right through the website. You don't have to have any special equipment, anything downloaded. You could just go right there. You can go to the YouTube channel, look up Life Between Coasts, and find all of the videos and everything that you see up here and all of our previous episodes. You can go to Spotify, Apple, iHeart, all of the major players, and find all of those episodes there too. So make sure that you help grow our community by referring people, by telling people. You got to listen to that. It's really, really good conversations, and I'm super excited for what's coming out for this season. Just there's some really deep conversations and very, just all around just good conversations. I mean, we're human. I mean, that's the biggest thing, and I think that as we continue our conversations with everybody that comes in to sit down on the couch, we find truth in what I say, that we're more like and we're different. So make sure that you listen to the website, or listen to the podcast. I'm sorry, I have so many words in my brain. And go to lifebetweencoasts.com to listen there. Go to YouTube, Spotify, all of that. To find the book, you can go to swayingwiththetrees.com. You can order it right through that website. Remember that for every book that is sold, I plant a tree through the Arbor Day Foundation. I'm not rich enough to be a sponsor yet. I need to have I think it was a $12,000 initial deposit or something to be able to be a sponsor with them. So I'm not quite there yet. 12,000 books, I'll get there, right? So essentially, let's say $1 roughly, goes to them. But it would be, it's exciting because where they're planting right now is in the Midwest. They're doing some reforestation projects in both Minnesota and Michigan. So as we know, Michigan is our home state. So they're rebuilding our forests for specifically habitat. We're trying to get the warbler birds back in action in the northern Michigan region. And so I'm really excited to be able to partner. It is a lower person on their totem pole, but we're going to prove them wrong, and we're going to get up to at least that $12,000 mark, if not more, because we're going to sell a lot of books, because I think this is a message that really needs to be heard by a lot of people. So remember to go to swayingwiththetrees.com to order that. You can also find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, or any other major bookseller globally, which is unimaginable for me, as a little girl from Michigan. So thank you again for joining us on this week's episode of Life Between Coasts. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to join or to grow our community of listeners. We'd like, again, to thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a great week. And until then, bye-bye.